The NBA starting center position is starting to make a comeback in the NBA. We're seeing more and more talent at that position with them being more versatile. So I took the top 30 starting NBA centers in the league and put them in a tier list. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the video. So starting out with Kevon Looney. Now Kevon Looney's been a very solid starting center for the Golden State Warriors ever since the Kevin Durant era. Despite him being undersized, he's a pretty above average interior defender. He makes the right plays, sets good screens, rebounds the ball. Like I said, plays interior defense, and he's not a bad player for that championship level team. So in that case, I'm going to put him on the B tier because without Kevon Looney, I don't know how successful the Warriors are. I'm not saying they don't win a championship without him, but he's definitely been a guy they can always go to rely on, even though their center depth have fluctuated throughout the years of this Golden State dynasty. So Kevon Looney deserves nothing less but a B. Robert Williams. Now, I want to be a homer and put him at the A tier because he's a really valuable player for that Celtics team when he's healthy. However, I got to pump the brakes on him a little bit. His health is still a concern. He's in and out of the lineup a lot. His knees aren't quite holding up, which is pretty scary. But when he's healthy, he's Defensive Player of the Year conversation type of player. He's a great lob threat for them. Like I said, has crazy blocks, crazy good interior defense, gives you a lot of rebounding, and despite being undersized, he's just a very, very solid center for them. So I'm going to put him on the B tier as well. And if he can develop any type of offensive game, whether that's a little mid-range, jump shot or a little post hook, he's going to be a very scary player. But as is right now, he's going to be B tier for me. Joel Embiid, not really much to say here. Has finished second back-to-back years in MVP voting. You can make the argument that he should have won him one of those 2 years. But Jokic did outperform him just a little bit more. But all in all, S tier, no doubt the second best center in the league. If you want to make the argument for number one, can't really go against you on that. He's a dominant player. Zubach. I don't really know much about Zubach, to be honest with you, because when I watch the Clippers, I'm telling you, he's probably the last player that I'm paying attention to, because his game is not exciting, I know, but he's a good screen center, can get you offensive rebounds, can block some shots, can be a nice lob threat for you at times. Not really much of a post game, not really much of an offensive game, but again, his effectiveness on winning isn't with a Kevon Looney and Robert Williams type of level. So in that case, I think I'm going to put him on the C tier for now. It really just depends how this list pans out. I might have to move him up, but right now he's going to be at the C tier for me. If I'm sleeping on him, let me know in the comments. Jokic, I just went into the Embiid versus Jokic. Both S tier players. I'm telling you right now, they're probably the only two players going to make the S tier on this list because it's them two and everyone else is definitely below them. So Jokic, back-to-back MVP, walking triple-double, makes all of his teammates better, can run an offense through him. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about Jokic, all with not being able to jump onto a piece of paper. Next, we have Nic Claxton. I can't put him at the B, mainly because of his playoff performance versus Celtics. He didn't really do much, and his missed free throws are very concerning for somebody who gets fouled a lot. He's not a great defensive presence like he'll do, especially for that Nets team, has a lot of offensive firepower, and he's just not really. He's just a big guy, has good moments, but nothing to really flaunt about. So C tier is where I'm gonna have him. I do think he's below Zubach in that aspect, so he'd be like a C minus for me. But he's a starting level center for the Nets, so I can't put him at D. Walker Kessler, I do this with all the rookies in my tier ranking videos. I'm just going to put him at the C. Do I think he might slide down to the D? Yes, but I put rookies at the C to give them some, potential to move up and give them the potential to move down. I will say he's going to have a lot of opportunity on that Utah Jazz team if and when they trade Donovan Mitchell, because it's really not going to be a whole lot of people on that team going to score the ball, so they might just try to run some plays through him to get him some good development minutes, and that's pretty much about it. Walker Kessler is just going to be a starting 5 for probably the worst team in the league, but who knows? He might have a stellar rookie season. Deandre Ayton. I'm very high on Deandre Ayton. I do wish he'd be more aggressive on offense sometimes, and I wish he would kind of smooth. Like, he does a lot of reaching when, on defense when players are driving the rim. I wish he would move in front of them a bit more often. But all in all, given who he is, averaging like 18 and 10 for the past couple seasons, playing at a very high level of Phoenix Suns team, gives him a lot of great moments. I think he's I think he's A-tier quality to me. Great mid-range jump shot, pretty good free throw shooter, athletic, lob threat for Chris Paul. All in all, just a tremendous center. I'm glad he got the max contract. I think for his value as a center in this league, I think he's worth pretty close to that. It might have been a little bit of an overpay, but the Suns had no choice. And he's still really, really young. So going into next season, I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder to prove to the Suns why he deserves a max contract, and also have some redemption versus their ending in the playoffs last season. Rudy Gobert, A tier. Close to S tier, but he's nowhere near the caliber of player that Embiid and Jokic are, mainly just because his offense is so lackluster. Like, if he had a little bit of offensive game, his defense is so good that it should move him up to the S tier. But all he really is a lob threat. I do think his offense is going to be better on this Timberwolves team because I think D'Angelo Russell is more of like a lob passer than Mike Conley and or Donovan Mitchell. You have Edwards who'd be willing to pass the ball. Like, he's going to be in a better system for the Timberwolves, and he's going to get more open looks at the rim with the floor spacing they have. And I just think that he's going to have a tremendous year. And Rudy Gobert is just about a top 5 defense in himself, so A tier is definitely where he needs to lie. Brooke Lopez, that back injury does concern me a little bit. I almost put Bobby Portis here to starting center because I think that could end up happening. But for now, I'm going to keep Brooke Lopez because he's a much better defender than Portis. And Brooke Lopez's ability to shoot the three ball makes the game so much better for Giannis. Like, his presence as a shooter alone, it just elevates Giannis to a whole nother level to run a 5-out and just let Giannis attack the basket all game. And when he's open, he's going to hit the 3-point shot. Still got a little bit of post-up game in him. Like I said, great help defender, great defender. B tier is definitely where Brooke Lopez needs to lie in this video. Mason Plumlee. There's not really much to talk about here. I kind of want to put him on the D tier because do you take him over? See, the thing with Walker Kessler is I think Mason Plumlee is going to be better than him, but I don't want to automatically start a rookie so low. But okay, no. I'm gonna pump the brakes. Mason Plumlee is a good lob threat. What the centers are in today's NBA. Mason Plumlee is not a bad one. Definitely one of the worst in the NBA for the center spot. But he still gives you good productive minutes when he can. Playing with LaMelo helps because he's going to get some good looks at the basket. So Mason Plumlee is going to be in the C tier. Doesn't really give you much more than just a lob threat and a help side defender. Steven Adams. Steven Adams is difficult for me because he's a really good passer out of the post, and he's a really good screen setter for Ja Morant, and good rebounder, and he's also a good outlet passer. Okay, now that I'm talking about him, it's really not much of a decision. I think I'm putting him on the B tier. He's just a great player for that team, but what does concern me moving forward is when they played the Timberwolves in the playoffs, he pretty much got played off the floor on a Timberwolves team that usually plays pretty big. So that kind of concerns me that the biggest guy on the team couldn't be on the court versus a very large team in itself. So I don't know what his minutes going to look like this season. Maybe Tillman and Jaren Jackson, when he gets back, are going to play more of the 5, and Adams going to move to the bench. But Adams also a good locker room guy. Got to give him some brownie points there. So I think B for Steven Adams is pretty well deserved. C+, B- type of player for me. But I think B is where he needs to lie. Jarrett Allen, A tier. No real question mark there. Defensive Player of the Year capability, great lob threat, can kind of stretch out and hit the 3. You're kind of pushing it by saying that. Pretty good post game. Runs a tremendous pick and roll with Darius Garland. That's going to be something to watch this year as they both improve their game. A tier is more than fair for Jarrett Allen. Do I take him over the 2 guys also in the A tier right now? I probably take Jarrett Allen over Ayton right now. And Gobert will just have to see what his offense looks like this year for the Timberwolves. JaVale McGee. Now, with the Mavericks, their projected lineup by ESPN and Bleacher Report is Christian Wood at the 4 and JaVale at the 5. I don't know if those two guys are the Twin Towers you want to run. However, that's going to be the lineup they're going to. And also, they don't really have much besides some bigs and Luka Doncic now that Jalen Brunson is gone. They have Dinwiddie, but JaVale's always going to be a very solid role player for you. He was looked at as like almost out of the league due to Shaq in the league moments. But since he's accepted the veteran role to come off the bench and start when he's a start, he's been a tremendous player. I think he's a 3-time champion now, 2 with the Warriors, 1 with the Lakers. Brings you great offense. He's still very athletic for his age, which is awesome. Great shot blocker, great lob threat, and just another one of those great locker room guys you love to have on your team, no matter the situation. So, but with that said, I think he's still C tier for me. That's just how it's going to be with JaVale McGee. Thomas Bryant, I feel like I haven't seen this guy play in like 3 years. I really don't know what he has left in the tank right now. The Lakers got him. He's going to get a lot of run in the Lakers because Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, and they have no center depth besides Thomas Bryant, so he's going to be a starter for them. And this is projected off next season as well. So I'm putting him on the C tier. If they keep Westbrook loves the dump off pass to the center when he gets to the rim. LeBron can find you on a backdoor cut. So I think Thomas Bryant is going to get some good run and minutes for the Lakers. I've seen him also step out and shoot the 3, but it's like he doesn't really shoot them in big time moments. He kind of shoots them in like blowouts or when the game's out of reach. So his confidence level in that shot is probably not that high. But if he can stretch out and be a 35% 3-point shooter, which may be way out of the league for him, and shoot 1 or 2 a game, that's pretty good for Thomas Bryant, and I think that could elevate the Lakers team. Just a hyper-athletic center for the Lakers this year, but I'm going to have to put him on the C tier because I feel like he's barely played and showed any type of potential in the past couple seasons. Alperen Sengun, I think he's going to have a tremendous year for the Rockets. I'm so excited to watch that Rockets team play, and Sengun is one of them. People call him Baby Jokic. I'm not going to go there, but he has all the offensive package of a Nikola Jokic. Can pass out of the post, can dime you up from top of the perimeter. Kind of has a 3-point. He doesn't have a 3-point shot, but he's willing to shoot them, and I can see him improving on that this season. Pretty good post-up game. He's kind of slow and methodical with the way he plays. He can grab a rebound, run your break, and kick it out to a shooter, which is awesome to see. I think he's going to have a tremendous year now that Christian Wood is gone, and he's going to be surrounded by shooters and Jabari Smith, Porter, and Jalen Green. So I think they're building something really nice in Houston, and Sengun is a big part of it. Clint Capela, very solid role. He's kind of like a role player now. He was a very, very good role player for the Rockets when they had James Harden, because I feel like James Harden was hitting him on 10 lobs a game. And Trae Young does the same thing with him, just at a kind of a lower volume. I think he's starting to lose some athleticism, but still a good starting center. I kind of wish the Hawks did trade him and let Okongwu really digest and take in that center, starting center role this year. But now they have Clint Capela. They're paying him a lot of money. I don't think they're going to bench him. So he's going to be a starter for them. And I'm putting him on the B tier. He's a great player to have. Great interior defender, lob threat, terrible free throw shooter, terrible offensive player, really. But his effectiveness on a court is really fun to watch. Jonas Valanciunas. I ain't gonna lie, I'm putting him on the A tier. Now I'm taking him 4th out of the 4 guys up here. But he's got the whole offensive package, man. I mean, he can pass a little bit. He can shoot a very high volume of threes and make a high percentage. Great post game, great mid range game, great screen center. Like, he's really mastered the art of the current day NBA center. His defense is pretty good. He's just not that athletic. He can get you 15 boards on a good night. Valanciunas is starting to become one of the best centers in the league, and it kind of came out of nowhere since he was traded from the Grizzlies to the Pelicans. And not to mention that his effectiveness when Zion comes back is going to be great, because we all know Zion can't really shoot the 3 ball that well. Maybe he'll pick it up this season. However, but Valanciunas being able to hit the 3, it would be similar to Brooke Lopez and the Bucks. You play a 5 out and just let Zion ISO in a smaller defender, and that's going to get Zion a lot of easy buckets and a lot of kickouts to Valanciunas. Bam Adebayo is an A tier for me. Defensive Player of the Year conversation almost every year. Bam really frustrates me because some days he'll feel like Joel Embiid and just go absolutely crazy. And then some nights he'll feel like Mason Plumlee, where he doesn't deserve to even have the basketball in his hand. I don't get it. When he's feeling confident, the guy is one of the better players in the league. I mean, he can hit the shot. Like, he can hit a shot everywhere on the court. He can hit threes when he's feeling it. Has a nice mid-range game. Hyper athletic big. Great passer too. He's a phenomenal player, and I wish he would understand that every single game and just attack. But with that said, even with his low confidence sometimes, he's still a tremendous player. And what he brings you on defense, let alone brings you in the A tier alone, because his switchability, he can switch on almost any player in the league and hold his own. And that's really valuable from the center spot now, with all these guards running around shooting threes. If you can switch on to Bam Adebayo, that's not a mismatch you want to take advantage of. You want to kick it out to someone else, because chances are you're going to get fathered by Bam Adebayo if you try to take him one-on-one. Pascal Siakam, another A-tier guy for me, for sure. Another A-tier guy. He's kind of had up and down season the past two seasons. He'll have stretches where he's really good, averaging damn near 30. Then he'll have stretches where he's putting up low 20s on bad efficiency. But if he can put this next season, if he can put a great scoring performance on every night for 82 games, along with Scotty Barnes, along with Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, that Raptors team is going to be a very, very damn good team in the Eastern Conference. And a lot of it depends on Pascal Siakam and how he performs this year. Nurkic, I feel like he's one of those players that you never. It's seeing a unicorn when you watch him play, because he's had so many major injuries the past couple seasons. But when he does play, he's a tremendous player. I mean, he can grab you a bunch of boards. Has a nice little mid-range, can shoot the three just a little bit. He's not a shooter, but he'll give you one or two if he's feeling it, you know. But yeah, Nurkic is going to be on the B tier. Just a great starting center for you if he can stay healthy. He's a very good asset on your team. And just a little side note, remember when the Nuggets 5-6 years ago, or maybe it was less than that now, they were deciding on whether they should trade Nurkic or Jokic. That was a real conversation. That's how much potential Nurkic showed when he was younger, and Jokic was starting to come up at the same time. And looks like the Nuggets made the right decision going after Jokic. But can you imagine if the Blazers traded for Jokic instead? Dame and Jokic and CJ, that team would have been absolutely fucking crazy. That team would have won a championship for sure. Moving on, Vucevic. Been pretty disappointing for the Bulls ever since he got traded there. He's kind of like Jonas Valanciunas, but on a less efficient levels. Hit the three, has a post game, good free throw shooter. His interior defense is lackluster. His offensive rebound can be lackluster sometimes. He's a center when he wants to be, and sometimes he just doesn't show up to be that center guy for the team. That's why they got Andre Drummond to hopefully fill in some of those gaps that Vuce has in his game. But all in all, still a good offensive player. Can really space the floor for Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan to get their own. So I think B tier is where Vuce needs to land. Jakob Poeltl. I think he's B tier too. So with centers, there's great shot blockers and there's great interior defenders. Poeltl is one of those guys that won't get you a lot of blocks, but will play outstanding interior defense for 36 minutes a night and deter a lot of shots. That's who he is. He's a very, very reliable defensive center. He'll always drop at the right time underneath the basket, can test every layup. His offensive game is still a work in progress. But all in all, not a bad center. If the Spurs want to keep him, I don't blame them. But if a team were to trade for him, that would be a huge asset for a team missing a center. But Poeltl is definitely B-level material. Mitchell Robinson, another one of those guys who can't stay healthy. That seems to be a trend with these center most of the centers on this list, it seems like. Mitchell Robinson, the hype's kind of died down for him a little bit. Great shot blocker, lob threat, but really not much else on the offensive end. Given his injury history, I probably assume he's going to get injured again this season. I hate to say that, and people might rip me in the comments for this, but I think I'm going to put him at the C spot. Actually, no, I'm putting him at the B. I'm going to put him at the B because they traded Nerlens Noel as well. So I don't really know what other centers are going to get minutes. So when Mitchell Robinson plays, he's going to be playing every goddamn minute of every game, especially playing underneath Tibbs, who runs his guys 48 minutes a night. If he can stay healthy, he could have a Defensive Player of the Year type of season, and hopefully his offensive game can rise up. And if he can play 72 games for that Knicks team at least, the Knicks could be a pretty good team with Brunson, Barrett, Randall. If they get Mitchell, so that can be a pretty fun team to watch. Wendell Carter, I absolutely love Wendell Carter's game. For some reason, I watch more Magic games than they deserve, but Wendell Carter just knows where to be on defense. His offense is really starting to pick up since he got traded from the Bulls. And you can make the argument that he's become a better center than Vucevic. His offense isn't quite as polished, but his defense is leaps and bounds ahead of it. So I think B tier for him. I think he's going to have another great year alongside Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. But yeah, B tier for Wendell Carter is definitely where he needs to be. Kristaps, given his injury history, this is tough. Like, on paper, he's better than all these guys in this list. But he just like Nurkic, he hasn't really been able to stay on the floor. But I did put Nurkic up here, given his injury history. So I got to put Porzingis at the A tier. Great shot blocker, can get you 3 a night if he's feeling it. Can spread the floor offensively, has a post game, has a good pick and roll game. He's a really nice player, and I think the Wizards have a kind of interesting team. I think every single video so far I've shit on the Wizards, so we'll keep it going. The Wizards are going to be a play-in team for the next 5 seasons around Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis. So, but Porzingis is still going to give you some good minutes. Could average 20 and 10 this season if he stays healthy. So, I think A tier for Porzingis is pretty good. I think I'm still taking majority of these guys. Maybe I'm taking more Valanciunas just because of his defensive presence. But yeah, if he can stay healthy, he can be a monster. Myles Turner. Not that I'm a Lakers fan, but I wish he would play for a team, get traded to a team that can try to contend, because he is like, if you want guys in your team to win a championship, right? Myles Turner is that center for you. Like, having your best player be a center is not a necessity at all. Teams are going away from it for the most part. But Myles Turner, he can block shots, he can grab your rebounds, he can finish in the dunker spot, he can deter shots, and he can stretch out and hit the 3, which is all like that. Like for me, if I'm looking for a center, he checks all the boxes at once, and he's a pretty durable player for the most part. He did get injured this past season. I think his injury was kind of prolonged a little bit so they could lose more games. But Myles Turner checks all the boxes for me, what I want in a center on my team, so that's why he's in the B tier, and he's really good at all of that. Domantas Sabonis, there we go, I got it. A tier. I still don't like the Kings traded Haliburton for him. I think that's going to be one of the worst trades in Sacramento history, and yes, they have a lot of them. Because Haliburton is going to be that guy. MVP conversation in 2 years from now, you watch. But Sabonis, great offensive player. Defense is average. He can stretch out, hit the 3. He's a great pick and roll partner for De'Aaron Fox, who doesn't really run the pick and roll all that great. So that's going to be interesting to watch, I guess. Great passing out, great passer out of the post. Really not much else to say about him. I just like him a little less because they traded my boy Tyrese Haliburton. Not that I care about King's success, but it's just so Sacramento for them to make a trade like that. But all in all, I can't really argue much because they are in the A tier. He is on the A tier for me, but I'm taking a lot of these guys on the list ahead of him. Isaiah Stewart is going to be a pretty decent player for that Kings. I think for the Pistons. I think B tier is where he needs to lie as well, mainly because they're going to run a lot of pick and roll between You know what? Nah, I'm putting Stewart at the B or at the C because they do have Nerlens Noel, Jalen Duran, and Isaiah Stewart. So that's 3 centers who all pretty much do the similar things. You have Isaiah Stewart. He was shooting threes in summer league and hitting some of them, but like I'm not going to project him as a shooter this year. He's a great rim runner, great pick and roll partner for Cade, Jaden Ivey, and Killian Hayes. And you have Nerlens Noel, who's more of a defensive player. Then you have Jalen Duran, who's a hyper-athletic big man who could be your starting center by the end of the season. Who knows? But with 3 centers that all need to have playing time, I don't think Isaiah Stewart's going to blossom into this great player next year, mainly because of the lack of minutes. Now here, at the time of this recording, obviously Chet Holmgren has been injured for the season. He is done, shut down with a foot injury. In terms of the center for the Thunder, I really didn't know who to go with. They have a bunch of long forward center guys. And honestly, with this one, I went to ESPN and looked up what their projected starting lineup was going to be, and it was Poku. So I went with Poku. I really don't know who the starting center is going to be for the Thunder. I think after Chet Holmgren went down, they're going to have another season where they just throw in the towel and try to win 20-ish games and get another high draft pick. So I think Poku is going to be their guy. He hasn't really shown us too much. This one's kind of interesting. I didn't think Poku was going to stub me like this. I think put him on the C tier. I know at the end of the season, the last couple games, he had a pretty good, pretty good pass. Sorry, I spaced out. Had a couple of pretty good ending games for them, but not really much. Like they were playing G League guys against them, so like it doesn't really matter. But hopefully Poku can have a great year. Hopefully he can jump up to the B tier. I think he definitely has the potential to, but I think there's a point in time where we really hype these players up and we keep doing it until they're pretty much bottomed out. And I think it's time to maybe pump the brakes on Poku a little bit. So that is my tier list for starting centers. Now this is my 5th video I've done on this. I've done point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. If you all want to check out those videos, 2 are coming up on the screen right now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.